It's like just one room. It's not a basic one. And here I am saying, oh, I have churches, you know, when I see the picture.
Yes, it's well appointed.
Yeah.
Well appointed.
And then they have a.
Yeah.
Everyone was saying, oh, we have this.
I don't think, hey, Marlu. Did you download this to the? It's downloaded to the computer. Are you using that one? Because I don't think the Wi-Fi is working. Because I'm on 5G now. In fact, I'm sure the Wi-Fi is not working. Not, I don't think so. I know so. Yeah, well.
Good morning. Hello, welcome to Kilohana Methodist Church. And we are glad to see you and happy that you are here. And we are hoping that you will be blessed because you chose to be with us and you chose to worship with us this morning. And Pastor Bob. This morning, the flowers are provided by the Yeagers. Is that right?
Ali's birthday. Yes.
Yes.
Ali's birthday.
Allie's birthday.
Ali's birthday.
20?
Happy birthday, Ali.
21st.
21st.
The 21st, or she's 21 years old.
No, 21st.
21st.
The 21st of the month. Okay. And then
She's at
Kate
least 20.
is providing the refreshments at Aloha Hour. And so everyone is invited for food and fellowship following the service on the Lanai. And you can also check out a book for our reading program, because the display is there as well. So if you would like to sign up for either flowers or a food for fellowship, we gladly welcome it. You can sign up there at the bulletin board. Just look at where their blanks for future Sundays. We continue to lift up prayers for Maui, or also the recovery, and give. And if you wish to give online, you can give at umc.org/donate. When you click on the link, make sure to go to Lahaina Relief. But if you would rather write a check, you can make it out to HUMU, HUMU, and then put it in the offering plate when it comes by, and then we will make sure that it will get to Maui. And we will send the monies to the district office, who will then forward it where it needs to go. If you weren't prepared to give today, but you still would like to give during the week, you can write a check out to Humu and then just forward it, mail it to the Hawaii District Office, 20 South Vineyard Boulevard, Honolulu, 96813. This coming Tuesday, we will have a memorial service for Janet Hawa Bowmer, and that will be at 10:30 a.m. here this Tuesday, and there will also be a reception following. The same day, that same Tuesday for lunch, the ladies group are going to Aina Haina Chop Suey. So what time are they to meet, G?
Meeting at 11:30, and I still have space for a couple more people. If you want to just
Thanks.
Sounds good. Talk to Jean if you're interested or if you have questions. The whole month of September is Kilohana month. So if you shop at Foodland or Sack and Save, just show your Makai card to them, cashier, and say that you want to give to Kilohana United Methodist Church, and then provide the code 78981, and then indicate to them the amount. And you could give as much as $249. And then Foodland or Western Union Foundation, they will match it. A percentage of what you give, they will match and return that to the church. Make sure you ask for a receipt if you do this, that we can put it down in the giving statement. Last year we raised $1,500, and let's try to exceed that this year.
Okay, too. That's nice.
This coming Wednesday, we are going to begin construction in our sanctuary, and we're going to start off with the back area where the organ is, where those little pews are. We're going to build a platform, and then so at night, we contracted with him to start that construction. So he will have things cleaned up by the time we have services or other activities. So just to be aware of that. Next Sunday, September 24th, we will hopefully close out and end our visiting session together. Everyone is invited. Lunch will be provided. The work teams that have been meeting at homes will be doing primarily the work of writing mission statements. So we will be out in the lanai, and some groups will go into the case room, and then we will give you more instructions about that. Looking ahead, if you want to write this on the calendar, on October 8th, Nora and Bill Joy they're with the Kapuna Aikido group, and they will have a workshop on how to fall properly, fall prevention to prevent injury. So if you have questions about that, talk to Norm. Again, that would be Sunday, October 8th. That would be immediately following the service. And that will be free. Are there any more announcements that we need to lift up? Might be missing this time. Okay, if you have any announcements, it would be helpful to let me know ahead of time. You could either text me And my cell phone information is there as well as, or you can email me. Or call, or leave a message at the office as well. Do you have any visitors this morning? Need their office? Well, if not, the peace of Christ be with you.
So with you,
And let's take a few moments and greet each other with
peace of Christ be with you.
You're here Tuesday.
Tuesday, yes, I'm here. I'm here tomorrow too. I'm gonna meet James Ishikawa to discuss what he wants done.
I would quite like this.
I won't know till tomorrow. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I can't tell you because I think it's at 9.
How are you? So I like your hair too, nice.
If you meet with the living under
It's just me.
We lift our hearts to the Lord. That's our intro song. Let us lift up our voices to God.
That's fine. Yeah.
Let's join in the song reading from Psalm 119, verses 33 through 40. Teach me, O Lord, the ways of your statutes, and I will observe it to the end. Give me understanding that I may keep your law and observe it with my whole heart.
Lead me in the path of your commandments, for I delight in it. Turn my heart to your decrees, and not the selfish gain.
Turn my eyes from looking at vanities. Give me life in your ways. Confirm your servant, your promise, which is for those who fear you.
Turn away the disgrace that I dread, for your ordinances are good. See, I have longed for your precepts. In your righteousness, give me life.
We are experimenting with different types of things in our liturgy. And so for this morning, we're going to have a centering time. So I invite you to just try and put out all distractions while I recite this song. This is from the song we are called. Come, live in the light. Shine with your joy in the love of the Lord. We are called to be light for the kingdom, to live in the freedom of the city of God. We are called to act with justice. We are called to love tenderly. We are called to serve one another and walk humbly with God. Come now, open your heart. show your mercy to all those who endure. We are called to be hope for the hopeless, so all hatred and blindness will be no more. We are called to act with justice. We are called to love tenderly. We are called to serve one another and walk humbly with our God. And so now let us sing our opening hymn, The God of Abraham Praise, 116 in the hymnal, verses 1, 2, and 3. And let's see. Seated. Before we go through the joys and concerns, I would like to invite Jason forward as we are going to present him with the Bible. So many of you know Jason, but I'm going to ask him to tell us a little bit more about himself. What school does he go to? What sports he plays or what interests he has, and anything else he wants to say. So.
No, actually, I had elementary I play soccer and went to the ocean.
Wonderful. Fishing. Where do you go fishing? Oh, on the beach. Oh, very good. Have you caught any fish lately? Well, maybe if you catch some fish, you can share some stories with me so that I can have sermon material. So, Jason, this is you are in the 4th grade, correct? Okay, and so we present you this Bible, and we hope that you will it will be in your life from now on and guide you in your Christian walk. And as you read it and learn and attend Sunday school and be in our church, that it would help you to learn and grow and become more faithful. So I love Jesus. So let's have a prayer for you. Oh God, we thank you for Jason and his schooling and his hobbies, and keep him safe and well, help him to grow and to continue to serve you. Bless him and his family, bless his faith all the days of his life. And may this Bible be a cornerstone, source of strength and faith all the days of his life. In Jesus Christ. Amen. Shall we show our support for Jason? Now we lift up joys and concerns, that are family and the community. Let's see, so I was handed a list of all the celebrations, that the cottagers are celebrating in September, so let me go through them. There's the third birthday for Sam Cottager, who is a great grandson. And the 8th birthday for Larma Cottager. Who's yes, and then 13th for Ray and Becca Cottager, their grandsons. 14th birthday for Phoebe Cottager, great granddaughter. And 24th for Katie and James Aikens, their granddaughter, and Jamie Lynn Tamanaha Pottinger, great granddaughter, and the 28th Brian Pottinger was their birthday. So wow, lots to celebrate.
It's anniversary.
Okay, so there's some Ray and Becca are anniversaries 13. And also Katie and Jay are the 24th anniversaries. So once again, they're providing refreshments for Aloha Hours, so you're all invited to celebrate with them. Well, God, we are grateful for all these celebrations, and at times we don't celebrate, we give thanks enough. So for the whole project or plan, we give thanks and we celebrate with them. Lord, in your mercy.
Here.
Are there other joys that we'd like to share this morning? We continue to pray for the Maui victims and their families. Lift them up, Lord, in your mercy. For those in charge of rebuilding and making decisions for Lahaina and surrounding areas, Lord, in your mercy. For those experiencing other disasters around the world, whether it be flood, earthquake, or other crisis, Lord, in your mercy. For those caught up in war, and those who are fighting to protect, those who are vulnerable, we pray for comfort, for miracles and peace. Lord, in your mercy. Now we lift up personal prayers for those of the past week. Tommy Gomes in his household and caregiver Danny. And Tommy mentioned to me this week that his friend Thomas Asahi passed away, so we lift up Asahi family. Lord, in your mercy. Jean Matsuo was readmitted to the hospital, and they're doing tests on her, so we pray all will be well. Lord, in your mercy. We also make mention of the Hitch family and their loss, and also the Dillon family and their struggles. Lord, in your mercy. We pray for the Ishikawa Fulmer family as they reunite in Hawaii and prepare to remember Janet this week in the memorial service. Lord, in your mercy. Any more concerns to lift up? Yes, Chris.
Celebrate my own today.
Ah,
My son Harris birthday.
Okay. For Al, we give thanks for his birthday, Lord, in your mercy.
here, prayer.
And we also celebrate with Eric, who will be 39. So grant them, father and son, many more birthdays to come and anniversaries and happy times for health and joy, Lord, in your mercy.
Here, prayer.
We celebrated my oldest son.
Ah, it's only September.
For George, and also place your hand upon him, oh God, that he continues to experience good health and happiness as well. Lord, in your mercy.
Hear our prayer.
Yes. Now let us pause. Creator, Redeemer, and Sustainer, we take a moment to pause and reflect on this week. We're grateful that we woke up and that we made it this morning. As we think about this past week, we are grateful for what we were able to accomplish. The work that needed to be done, that got done this week. We're grateful for good surprises, for moments of celebrations and times of peace. But we also think of those times of trials and tribulations, of physical ailments or afflictions or aches and pains or setbacks that we may have experienced this week. Help us to overcome and to move beyond and to go forward. We also place before you, O God, those things that are ongoing. We ask for strength for the journey of our faith, for difficulty, for patience and courage to find and receive answers and solutions. The Lord minister to us in the peace of this place. Help us not to be overcome by evil, but to overcome evil with good. Let us, the Lord, be a calming presence, a beacon of light, and a source of hope to those who are lost, those who are lonely or helpless. Help us to share a smile, to spread joy, to provide encouragement this coming week. Minister to each one of us deep within. Remove any unpleasant thoughts. Help us to let go of our burdens and to break away from unhealthy patterns. Help us to find clarity and to get confidence and patience during anxious times. So refill us with your energy for the journey today, tomorrow, and the days ahead. So we pray the prayer that Jesus taught us. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Our next hymn is Guide Me, O Thou Great Jehovah, number 127. Well, we sing just verses 1 and 2 of it. Amen. You may be seated.
The scripture reading today is the 12th chapter of Exodus, verses 1 to 14. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, "This month shall mark for you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year for you. Tell the whole congregation of Israel that on the 10th of this month, they are to take a lamb for each family a land for each household. If a household is too small for a whole land, it shall join its closest neighbor in a paving land. The land shall be divided in proportion to the number of people who eat of it. Your land shall be without blemish, a year-old male. You may take it from the sheep or from the goats. You shall keep it until the 14th day of this month. Then the whole assembled congregation of Israel shall slaughter it at twilight. They shall take some of the blood and put it on the two doorposts and the lintel of the houses in which they eat it. They shall eat the lamb that same night. They shall eat it roasted over the fire with unleavened bread and bitter herbs. Do not eat any of it raw or boiled in water, but roast it over the fire with its head and legs and in the organs.
Yeah.
You shall let none of it remain until morning. Anything that remains until morning you shall burn. This is how you shall eat it: your loins girded, your sandals on your feet, and your staff in your hand, and you shall eat it hurriedly. It is the Passover of the Lord. For I will pass through the land of Egypt that night, and I will strike down every firstborn in the land of Egypt, both human beings and animals. On all of the gods of Egypt I will execute judgments. I am the Lord. The blood shall be a sign for you on the houses where you live. When I see the blood, I will pass over you, and no plague shall destroy you when I strike the land of Egypt. This day shall be a day of remembrance for you. You shall celebrate it as a festival to the Lord. Throughout your generations, you shall observe it as a perpetual ordinance. The word of the Lord for the people of God.
Thanks be to God. I'd like to invite the cake.
How's that look?
How many of you have ever taken yoga? So with yoga was up and down, up and down. So we're gonna play a little game today. If I see something good, you're gonna put your thumbs up, like your real thumbs down, okay? We're gonna talk, this story is it's kind of a story of the ups and downs of life and how everything is always happening in the life, right? So this is what I'm saying, if something good happens, something bad happens. Okay. All right, let's see here. So can you think of ways that we have ups and downs in our life? And lesson today, you will see that Pharaoh, who was the king of Egypt, had his ups and downs. And we're going to see how God punished Pharaoh for his wicked ways. When you think of people having up, do the thumbs up, and people having it down. Down. All right, God ready. God had spoken to Moses from a burning bush and told him to go to Pharaoh and tell him, let my people free. Thumbs up, right? Yeah, let my people go free. All right. They had these slaves in Egypt. They had been slaves in Egypt for many years. No slaves are, they work hard, they don't get paid, they don't get treated well. Slavery, right? But Pharaoh said, no, I'm not going to let you go. So Moses said, let my people go. Pharaoh said, no, I'm not going to let you go. Because Pharaoh refused to obey, God began to send terrible plagues on Egypt. One time God sent frogs all over the land. There were so many frogs that Pharaoh thought he would I understand God said rats, flies, and locusts, and that really falls the Pharaoh. That's true. Well, Pharaoh had more downs than go with. When God would send one of the plagues, Pharaoh would tell Moses that if God made it go away, he would let people go. All right? After God made the plague go away, Pharaoh always changed his mind and refused to let the people go. Since Pharaoh was so hardworking and refused to let God's people go, God continued to send the plagues upon Egypt. There were 10 in all. All right, the final plague was the worst of all. God told Moses to tell Pharaoh that this last plague was going to be so terrible, it was going to change his mind, and a lot of people were going to die. Right? Right. Since Pharaoh and the people in Egypt refused to do what God told them to do, they suffered terribly. That may be hard to understand, but remember, God had given them many opportunities to do what he told them to do, but still they refused to listen to God. Right. So God gave Moses these instructions on what to do when the last plague passed over. And the plague is like, this is going to be a disease that was going to come into the house. We were going to die unless we did what God told me to do. So God said you need to go out and get a roast of lamb, right? Roast of lamb with some bitter herbs, some unleavened leavened bread, and eat it. And then you need to paint red on your house, on the doors of your houses, okay? And when God saw the bread that night, he was going to pass over your house. That's where the Passover comes from. And he wasn't going to send a terrible disease to your house, only to the homes of the others that didn't obey God. Does that make sense? So that thing was so terrible that even Pharaoh's own son died from the disease. And so Pharaoh had a change of heart. It took all of that. And he finally let Moses keep going along. And so that's why we celebrate Passover today. So we finally let the people go. That's the job. All right. And so today, Jewish people celebrate happy New Passover. It's our nice to think about this and we stand with their God. We know that some of the things you do are not pleasing to you.
Not pleasing to you.
But we are thankful for Jesus,
We're thankful for Jesus,
who forgives us of our sins.
who forgave us of our sins.
Thank you for forgiving us
Thank you for forgiving
and sending Jesus to us.
and sending Jesus to us.
Really thank you. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you so much for being with me. And have a good week.
Thank you, Jack.
Yeah, really.
That's great. God made sense of these words and the story. May we be able to apply it to our lives. And may all that we say and read be glorifying to you, God, our strength and our Redeemer. Amen. So most of the time when you come to church, you hear sermons from the New Testament, and it's mostly about Jesus. And most of my messages are the same. I mean, they're mostly about the New Testament and Jesus. So today is a bit of a departure because I'm using the Exodus passage. And so I need to preface a little bit because we don't talk about this as much, although Jackie gave a pretty good introduction. How many of you remember the movie The Ten Commandments? Some of you do. Remember Moses, big, larger than life, with the staff in his hand, commanding voice. Was Charlton Heston, right? But some of you are a little too young, and so you said you watched The Prince of Egypt, right? How many of you seen The Prince of Egypt? Oh, some of you still have that. That's a cartoon, animated. So one way of looking at Israel and Moses is in a three-part drama. So let me break it down in 3 parts. The first part is that the people are in Egypt, and Jackie talked about this. They are miserable. They are slaves. They are living in cruel conditions. Life is terrible. They're suffering. Life is horrible. All day long that they just produce these bricks so that Pharaoh can build whatever Pharaoh wants to build. And they're crying out to God all day long, when will be delivered from this miserable life? That's stage one, slavery. But as the story goes, and the people of Israel are led out by Moses after all the plagues, which Jackie was talking about, and Pharaoh finally lets them go. And they're out in the wilderness. They're wandering after they cross the Red Sea. But they were there for 40 years, aimlessly, lost. First stage of slavery, this stage is just wandering with no direction. The last stage is when they reach the promised land. Now, in our minds, it's the land of flowing of milk and honey, which is described later in Exodus. And when they're in the promised land, they experience joy and they experience victory, and everything is stable, and they feel comfortable, and they're enjoying life. So again, the stages are slavery and bondage, being wandering in the wilderness and lost, or reaching the promised land. But if you take what happens in between these stages, you would count 5 stages. Because the transitions are also stages, right? So after slavery and bondage, they go to the Red Sea, and they are right at the threshold, and they have to decide, am I going to cross that sea? That's where Moses parts the sea. Or the other in-between stage is that when they're in the wilderness, and then they're finally going to get to the promised land after all this time. And so they do by crossing the River Jordan. So there are 5 stages that I like us to think about: slavery, the Red Sea, the wilderness, crossing the River Jordan, and finally the promised land. So I'd like to ask each of you this question as you think about your life right now. Where are you? Are you in a stage of bondage or slavery? Meaning, are you miserable? Do you feel controlled? Do you feel trapped? Do you feel stuck in a tyranny or some other external forces? Do you feel like your life right now, you're held captive, and you're restricted and limited, or even oppressed? Or are you leaving this state, and do you feel like you're at the Red Sea? You're ready to cross over what that next stage is going to be, and you have to go through that Red Sea. Are you about to be liberated from that oppressive, restricted, controlled part of your life? Or if you're not there, if you're not in slavery, or if you're not at the Red Sea, are you in the wilderness? Are you kind of lost? Are you kind of wandering? Are you kind of aimless? Are you kind of looking for something? You're going in circles. The wilderness is also there's a drought, there's deprivation, there's a dryness, or you could even say it's like depression. And you're suffering. We know that during COVID, the whole world, all of us were in the wilderness. We were just not moving. We're aimless. Or are you about to cross the River Jordan? Are you about to leave that depressive time? Leave the land of the lost, and you're going towards the promise. Place of security and abundance and milk and honey and safety and feeling like there's success. So I'm gonna do a poll right now. I'm gonna ask you, to think about where your life is right now. How many of you feel like you're in Egypt right now? That's good, nobody feels like they're in Egypt. How many of you feel like you're right at the Red Sea? You're ready to go through that transition? Some of you. How many of you feel like you're in the wilderness? Just kind of wandering, just kind of searching, you just kind of feel like you're lost. How many of you feel like you're about to cross the River Jordan and you're about to go into the promised land? You can see it, you can feel it, you can taste it. How many of you feel like you're there? Well, good. How many of you feel like you're in the promised land? Okay, not as many as I thought. I know it's hard not to think living in Hawaii Kai that you're not in the promised land. I feel like I'm in the promised land in some ways. So what do we do when we're in these different stages, and what are we supposed to think? We struggle. Our scripture this morning is from the part about the people of Israel. They're about to leave Egypt. And they're about to leave this slavery, and they're about to go to the next step. And of course, we know it's Passover. And Jackie told us the story of what they're supposed to do, the doorposts, so that the Spirit of God will pass over their homes, right? So God tells Moses to give this instruction to Israel: take an unblemished lamb and kill it. And they're supposed to eat the meat roasted with bread and bitter herbs. They are to do this, and they are to remember, and they are to celebrate whatever stage they're in afterwards, to remember, to think back. And then there's another tradition in chapter 13 where they dedicate the firstborn. But in both cases, there was a remembrance that God had delivered, that God's powerful hand had transported them. If I can summarize this, I would say, remember where you were. Remember what state of mind, what state of being you were. And think about the decisions when you crossed over those times, and remember and give thanks. To thank God. Now, as a church, next Sunday, we are going to redefine our mission statement. During COVID, we were in the wilderness, and we came out of COVID. There was a change of ministers. Now you opened up yourself to the Holy Spirit and to discern the direction and the fellowship discussion. Meetings during July and August. So in a way, our church, we're like at the River Jordan. We're ready to cross over when we define ourselves. We were wandering, but now we are going to renovate. So we're going to renovate the back portion of the sanctuary. We're going to renovate the stage, which will be more towards October 23rd is when we're going to tear up this part in front here and pour cement. We're going to raise up the back 4 feet. We're going to raise this up 6 inches. And then we're going to have new audiovisual equipment. And the church council has already approved it. So we're right at the threshold of beginning, and we're ready to cross over. We're going to start that Wednesday after the funeral on Tuesday, the memorial on Tuesday. Just to let you know, all the construction and equipment, the cost is already provided. It's from the insurance from the flood damage. So the stage in front and also in the back, the cost is covered. And the audiovisual equipment is the result of the emissions. So if you feel like you're in Egypt and you feel trapped, and stuck and captive, this passage says, draw upon God. If you're ready to cross the Red Sea, make that choice, or you're already crossing, this passage says, remember, don't forget that God was with you and God is leading you. Or if you're wandering in the wilderness, if you're lost, if you're aimlessly searching, draw upon God. That's the message. And remember where you came from. You're ready to cross the river Jordan. Remember where you were and how God delivered you out of Egypt, out of the wilderness, and is now bringing you to newness. Something new that God has. If you're in the promised land, remember back. Don't forget and give thanks to God. In remembrance, the passage says. But the sobering and cautious word is, if we find ourselves in the promised land, in the twinkling of an eye, it can change. Because people in the promised land of Lahaina thought they were in the promised land. But now they are not in the promised land. Some of them now are wandering in the wilderness with their life now. I heard that they're going to reopen parts of Lahaina. So for them, they're going to be crossing over, like crossing that threshold. They have to start all over. So we're humbled, we're sobered by the thought, yes, I'm in the promised land, but things can change and I might have to start all over. Or I may find myself back in Egypt. But then to keep relying on God, keep trusting in God, that God will help us to cross. But I just think that this is a helpful way to think about it. But we, as a church, we're ready to cross over. And we give thanks to God. Amen? Amen. Call our ushers forward. Loving God, no matter where we find ourselves, whether it's in Egypt or the Red Sea or the wilderness, or about to enter into the promised land, help us to continue to remember that you have brought us through these stages and places, and that you're always with us. And as we continue the journey, that we continue to also give and serve and share. And so we share a portion of this past week. Accept these offerings, accept our lives, and accept our church. Multiply the goodness and blessings all of them. In Jesus' name. Amen. We sing our closing hymn together. See the blessing, living Christ go with you, before you to show you the way, behind you to encourage you, above you to watch over you, beside you to befriend you, and within you to give you peace now and forever.
Amen. flowers. Those are ours.
They're very beautiful deer.
Yeah.
It's a good, like, it's a good fall or even autumn.
I know. Those are ours. They're very beautiful. Yeah.